Who has two thumbs and has gotten too into the holiday spirit to make a proper video? This guy. But instead of leaving you hanging for a week, I figured I would give you a list of my 10 favourite movies. Animated, anime, it's all here, so let's get started with number 10. The Spiderman Chronicles. The Spiderman Chronicles is about young Jared Grace moving into the middle of nowhere with his mother, brother, and sister. He discovers a book that exposes a world of fairies and pigmen in the forest surrounding his home, and must now use this knowledge to protect his family from hostile goblins and an ancient evil entity. While the story can be cliché and the CG is dated, the reason I remember this movie years later is that it invigorated my childhood imagination by blending fantasy with reality in a way that I could see myself in. It's ranked so low because nostalgia plays a huge role in my fondness for this film, but I still recommend it to anyone who'd be interested in a fantasy reality blend. Number 9. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Curse of the Black Pearl is about a blacksmith, William Turner, teaming up with criminal Captain Jack Sparrow to rescue his childhood sweetheart Elizabeth Swann from a crew of cursed pirates. The action is well written and choreographed, the CGI is still good to this day, and there is a reason that Johnny Depp's portrayal of Captain Jack Sparrow is iconic. The narrative deals with identity and lineage, all tied together in an excellent swashbuckling package. If you have not seen this film, you really have to, and if you have, do yourself a favour and watch it again. Number 8. Psycho. Oh la dee da, look at the pretentious film student putting a black and white movie on his list. Guys, Psycho set the standard for several films that we enjoy today. Its director, Alfred Hitchcock, was a master of suspense, and knew exactly which techniques to use to instill a sense of dread in his audience. I make no hyperbole when I say that Hitchcock's films are monumental, and this is one of his most famous films. Psycho is about a young woman, Marion, stealing a large sum of money from her work and hiding out in a creepy motel run by Norman Bates, who is subservient to his overbearing and controlling mother. The film is ultimately a thriller that keeps you in suspense from start to finish. If you have not seen Psycho, I cannot recommend it enough. Number 7. 1917. Oh la dee da, look at the pretentious film student. Yeah, look, I promise that this will be the last pretentious film on this list, but if you haven't seen it, you'll want to hear me out. 1917 is about two World War I soldiers, Schofield and Blake, who must venture across no man's land and through enemy territory to deliver a vital message which could make the difference between life and death for hundreds of men. The film is tense, brilliantly shot, well written, and genuinely explores the horror of war in a way that doesn't glorify them. Even the film's quieter moments between the more intense firefights carry this sense of looming anxiety. The pretentious part is the way it appears to be taking place in one continuous shot with no discernible cuts, which is a difficult technique to pull off, so I applaud the filmmakers for doing so. If you can stomach some gore, I strongly recommend this work of art. Number 6. Your Name. Yeah, it's about time an anime film showed up on this list. Your Name is about two high school students, Taki and Mitsuha, who spontaneously switch bodies one day. The film's early narrative is about how these kids of opposite genders deal with their new identities and learn to coexist. If I were to try boil down the film's themes, I don't think I could. You would think that a premise like this would evoke themes of identity and societal expectation, but the film eventually deviates from that in ways that I won't bring up here for spoiler reasons. That said, it's still a great film. It's funny, heartfelt, and the only anime film that I have watched more than once. Number 5. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Who Framed Roger Rabbit is about a cartoon bunny named Roger trying to prove his innocence after authorities blame him for his boss's murder. Private investigator and toon hater Eddie Valiant takes up the case to uncover the conspiracy and has to put up with Roger's shenanigans along the way. If there's one thing about Who Framed Roger Rabbit that you've likely noticed just by the visuals alone, it's that this film has an incredible style that blends live action footage with traditional hand-drawn animation. Sometimes the effect is so well executed that you forget that these characters aren't real. While having enough adult content to satisfy an older audience, it also has a lot of silly, cartoony slapstick humour, which makes more than enough sense given the context. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is funny, intriguing, and just exudes a passion for animation. Number 4. About Time. About Time is about a young man named Tim who is told by his father that he can travel back in time to moments of his own life. He decides to use this ability to attain true love. Yes, this is a romance film with time travel, and I love it. As the film continues, it becomes about more than mere romantic love. It eventually covers all different types of love, familial, platonic, parental, as well as showcasing that finding love is just one possible starting point for creating a good life, and not the end goal. About Time is also the only film on this list to make me cry, so yeah, it's good. Number 3, The Princess Bride. If you have not seen this film, I want you to imagine what it is about based solely on the title. Do you have your idea? Okay. The Princess Bride is a light fantasy action-adventure film about a young lady who is taken hostage after the love of her life is killed at the hands of dread pirate Roberts. Yes, this film has a character named Princess Buttercup and a wedding is involved, but it also has sword fights, giant rats, and a man who literally says the phrase, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." My point is that this film has far more going for it than the title suggests, and the narrative itself even pokes fun at this. It's certainly an older film, and it does show its age, but the writing, choreography, and acting are all top-notch. I highly recommend that you ignore the impression that the name gives you, and watch it anyway. Number 2. Meet the Robinsons. Meet the Robinsons is about a child named Lewis, an inventor who wants more than anything to find a family. Suddenly, a mysterious kid named Wilbur arrives in a time machine and takes Lewis to the future. Here, Lewis meets Wilbur's quirky family, the Robinsons, and what follows is a heartwarming story about accepting one's failures, finding a sense of belonging, and the importance of moving forward in the face of adversity. Yes, the film has a silly villain, and anyone who has seen the trailers would have seen the T-Rex. However, beyond the movie's more ridiculous aspects lays a story that moves me every time I watch it. Don't let the childish presentation fool you. Meet the Robinsons' message is one that adults need to hear just as much, and it's a film that I intend to watch many more times throughout my life. And my favourite film of all time is Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is about top-tier cop Nicholas Angel being transferred away from his London precinct to a small rural town. Although not enthusiastic about this transfer, Angel does what he can to do good police work in Sanford and even unofficially takes fellow officer and cop movie enthusiast Danny Butterman under his wing. What makes this film great is the stylistic presentation by director Edgar Wright. There are so many little intricate details conveyed through good cinematography, visual gags, sound effects, and beautifully simple yet elaborately interconnected dialogue. This film is everything that comedy should be, and Edgar Wright didn't just stumble into this formula by accident. The only reason this list isn't composed of his entire catalogue is that it would have gotten boring, but I also strongly recommend his other works, Baby Driver, Shaun of the Dead, World's End, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And that is it for this top 10 list. Sorry for the change in content, I promise to get my butt into gear and return to the videos you all expect starting next week. In the meantime, I'd like to thank my patrons, Orion Tran, Quincy Chamberlain, Jaman5, Lars Espen, Shark, Data52, Nerxu, Pixcalibur, Alberto Cruz, Tyler Bennett, Tenka, and Jeremy Bashik. If you too would like to support me further, you can do so at patreon.com/BehindBigJoe. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.